Welcome to Simply Sisterhood. My name is Christy Little Jones of MrsChristyJones.com. And I'm so excited that you are here. Those of you who are new to Simply Sisterhood, welcome. Simply Sisterhood is a weekly program where we celebrate women and her sparkle. And so I am so excited for the privilege to be able to share just women's and celebrate women's their it factor, their swag, their mojo, that thing that just makes them unique and special. And, you know, I really believe that God has created all of us to be special and amazing. And he has given us these gifts to really share with the world. And so if we don't celebrate them, you know, they go dormant. And so I just am super excited. Welcome, replay viewers. Thank you so much for being here. And again, we're here every Monday evening at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And while we started off live on Facebook, we are actually transitioning to YouTube. So I'm super excited about everything that's going on and the amazing women that God has just placed in my life. And so today I am so excited. Let me see how I can actually share this view because I am so excited to share with you who I am celebrating today. She is amazing. Her name is Andra Day. She is a Grammy-nominated R&B soul singer and songwriter, and just an amazing, beautiful woman of God who just, you know, the gifts that she has, that she shares with the world, will give you chills. They'll make you cry. They will make you, you know, really just move you. And many of you may be familiar with her song "Rise Up." That just makes you want to leap a tall building in a single bound because you really believe you can do it. And so without further ado, I really want to celebrate and introduce to you my sister and dear friend, Andra Day!
I think it's such a surprise. I came out of nowhere.
Yes, I'm so excited. Andra, thank you so much for being here. I just saw your show here in Washington, D.C. A few days ago. And let me just tell you, people don't sing like that anymore. Hi, Richard.
Manager Richard.
I didn't get to her. What's up?
Hi, how are you?
Yeah.
You good?
Yes, I'm great. Thank you.
Good to see you.
Yes, awesome. And so we are, you know, she's on tour. You're on tour right now. You started a few weeks ago. You go to the middle of December, yes? And so, you know, ladies, gentlemen, you have got to see this woman. You know, they may be already sold out because she literally packs the house every single time. We were on our feet, like just being in the Lincoln Theater to hear you. We felt literally like we were in your living room. Like you said, you know, we are in your living room. We felt like we were right there, and just you gave it 100%. It was just, it's like you were sparkling. You were just oozing sparkle, and it was so beautiful. So I know that you were born in San Diego, or you were born in San Diego, is that right?
I was actually born in Washington. I was born in Seattle, Washington.
In Seattle, Washington, and then you moved to San Diego.
Yeah, in San Diego before I even started grade school. My father was in the military, so we kind of moved down the coast until permanently stationed in San Diego.
Yes. So how did you know that God had given you this amazing voice?
I mean, I think I was fairly young. You know, we were listening when I was really young, before I went to performing arts school, before I was singing in church. You know, we were listening to just the great voices, you know, Whitney Houston and Celine Dion, Patti LaBelle and Aretha Franklin. And so you kind of get to a point when you start to emulate these singers when you're like, oh, shoot, it kind of can sound like it hit the same notes, or, you know, like not necessarily sound like them, but we're like, hey, your ear just starts to understand that your voice is in tune, you know? And so I think it was a pretty young age. I was probably maybe 8 or 9, you know? Wow. And then, you know, but I was focused on dance. I danced for almost 22 years. So, so for a long time when I got young, I was focused on dancing, and then I started singing in church and really enjoying that. But it wasn't. It's funny because people are always like, "Yeah, girl, always starting gospel," but it wasn't gospel music. It was just like contemporary Christian, praise
Really?
band songs. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And the Methodist music too. Yeah. so so
Wow.
um so we started singing there in church, and then I was accepted into a performing arts school in San Diego for grades. It was fourth through senior year.
Oh,
And so
wow.
they all collectively put everyone together. It was actually really good for the students for every age
Mhm.
and every sort of the younger students to kind of get saturated in whatever the older students were doing creatively. So I started attending there when I was like 10 or 11. I think I 10.
Really?
Yeah.
And
And
you were there through high school?
yeah, all the way through high school. It was like a modern Fame.
Wow.
People running around. I was running around in leotard and tights. so,
That's awesome. So dance was your first love.
yeah, I mean, dance really was, I mean, all of the arts really were, but dance was like the focus for me when I was young. And so it was, I mean, I thought I'd go to Juilliard to be this prima ballerina.
Really? That's amazing. Oh my goodness.
I
That's
like
wonderful. Wow. That's awesome. Have you always had like a deep voice?
mm-hmm. I
Really?
think that was one of the things for me when I was young that I struggled with because, I listened to, when I went to performing arts schools, when I was exposed to like jazz and
Mhm.
classical and studied jazz vocal performance. And that's when I fell in love with it. But still, I was young. I listened to the radio, like Destiny's Child was on all the time and it's other like pop and R&B singers. But I remember their voices, not necessarily Destiny's Child, but other groups and singers at the time that were on the radio. Their voices were much sweeter. They had like these like really high belts and it was like higher pitched and so it
Wow.
was a real insecurity for me when I was young because my voice just felt like this weighty old lady in the room, and I was like, so I would sit in my room trying to thin my voice out and do all
Yeah.
these things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And finally I
Wow.
just got to a point later where I was like, all right, you know what? Actually, I did a quick session. It was actually an audition for some reality TV show this vocal coach was doing. And he said, hey, you just got to drop your jaw and whatever sound comes out, that's your voice. And I was like, all right, well, there it is.
Wow. So beautiful. I mean, I wish y'all were closer because I would go to the concert in Boston, the concert in Philly. It was amazing. I loved it. And so, what makes you sparkle? Like what makes Andra sparkle?
Mm. I mean, for me, that's a pretty easy answer. It's the love of God. It's my relationship. Oh,
Mm.
my connection is unstable. Huh, trying to stop me, devil. Okay, no, but it's my relationship with Christ. You know what I mean? That really is what has transformed me. I feel like right now, even since we're talking to you, I'm a completely different person than I was 10 years ago. And I'm grateful that I'm not that person anymore.
Right.
That's it. That gives us special. I think he's been able to make me an encourager, and it really is fulfilling for me, whether it's through music or whatever it is I'm producing. If people are feeling encouraged, if they find the power that they've all been instilled with,
Yeah.
and that helps for them to find it, then I feel fulfilled doing that, and that's, so I think that's really, maybe that's my gift. Gift and talent are different things, you know what I mean?
That is so good. Very good. Gift and talent are two different things. And it's so funny because I don't think everyone really realizes that.
Yeah.
Did you always know that? Did you always
Uh,
know that gift and talent was different?
I don't think I always knew that. I mean, I remember a point in my life, and I think I was at like a Bible study, but it was talking about earnestly seek what your gifts are, because you have
Mhm.
physical talents that they are still gifts from God, but
Mhm.
your gifting, like what you are supposed to impart to the world, is a different thing. And I
That's so
was
good.
reading Isaiah 54, and it spoke to me so deeply because I just started earnestly seeking. It was like, you have a tongue of the learned. Basically,
Mm.
you learn, God speaks to you, you learn how to say that and encourager. You're an encourager of men. And that really kind of like stuck with me. I think
Wow.
we all have multiple gifts, and we
Yeah.
continue to seek them, but that was definitely one. So I do feel fulfilled. I feel sparkly when I'm doing that.
So
I feel
awesome.
like glitter. When
Yes,
I
glitter. Yes, I love it. So when you said,
yeah, like glitter.
yes, we know when you know, your gift to the world. So when you were seeking your gift to the world, what to share with the world, was the encouragement? Was that the thing that came into your spirit? Like you wanted?
That was it. That was it.
Wow.
It's like, use my spirit and use my word and the gifts I've given you to encourage people, and because, it's not just, and not encouragement like the world does, not encouragement like, oh, you can do it, but
Yeah.
real perseverance, really perseverance, encouraging people to persevere and for them to remember that, oh, you'll
Wow.
get to this. Not just this form, just remember what the end of the race looks like for you. You know what I mean? And hold on to that. Don't worry about just a month from now, but the end of the race. That'll keep going.
Ooh, that is so good. I felt the Holy Spirit on
I've
that
been
one.
I've been encouraged myself. So that's why it's like, I don't know. I realize the value of that in my own personal life.
Yes, that's awesome. I know a little bit of your story for how you kind of got started. And, it is such a testimony in regarding your faith in the Lord. And, you were discovered by, I think it was Stevie Wonder's wife at the time. Yes.
Kyler Morris. She is pretty much an angel and actually an incredible designer, by the way. I love her clothes.
Wow.
She's always just been so supportive and amazing. And I was doing, I grew up like broke, basically.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So I scrounged up some change and to get to LA and do a performance in Malibu in front of a store and like a little.
Yeah. You said you scrounged up some money to do
Scrounged up some change to do
a show in Malibu.
And the person I was working with at the time took video of it, and he found himself in a pastry shop with Kyla. And he played her the video, and she divulged to him that she was Steve Wonder's wife and that she wanted to play it for him.
Wow.
And so she played the clip for him, and he loved my voice. And he was like, okay, orchestrate a call. And so they reached out. And I'm broke. Like at this point in my life, like I was always broke, but like I was like really broke at this time.
Yes.
I was sleeping on my mom's little futon in her tiny apartment that really didn't fit me, only fit one person.
Wow.
And it's crazy to be on the phone with this legend. I mean, he's the legend to me, in my opinion, the biggest living legend, that we have. And actually, honestly, dead or alive, honestly, he just is that person, and he really crafted a lot of who we are as musicians and people.
Mm-hmm.
So to be on the phone, it just felt like this meteor hit my house. I'm like, it's just some moments. It's like, okay, only God could put this together.
Right?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh! Only God.
Crazy. It's so crazy. But I will say, that moment really was just like, it didn't end up working out necessarily at the time. The guy I was working with was not very honest, and really sabotaged the opportunity. But by the grace of God, they held on to my information. And it was like a year later, they reached out to me again to say, hey, we can't stop thinking about you. We love you. Are you still working with him? Because we'd love to work with you. And so, I wasn't at the time. And they're like, we want to introduce you to a friend of ours who's a producer. We think he'd be great to produce your album. And that was Adrian Gervitz, who did the album with me. And it turned out he was interested because she showed him a video before, and he was like, I want to work with her. And so, and the funny part is, even at that time, it still didn't work out. I had to have a moment at that point in my life. I had gotten right to a point where God had to stop me. And he was like, I have to work on you. You know what I mean? I was just damaged from music and being sort of discouraged, and opportunities weren't working out. And the situation I was in was just so, like, it felt like a betrayal, you know what I mean? And in my personal life, that, for me, it felt like a betrayal was happening to me in music, but I was betraying someone that I was with on a personal level in a relationship.
Wow.
That was like, I got to shut you down. You know what I mean?
Wow.
And so it was that moment. So I didn't actually even start sign with them and start working with them until a year later after that. So another year went by. And it was a really like hard time. It was another time broke, have no future, no deal in sight. I don't know what's going on with my life. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Finished school. I started getting back into school, but it was that moment of my life was where the relationship with Christ got so deep and so real, and I was like, okay, it was like a Brooke Cherith moment, you know, and like in Elijah's life before he went to talk to the prophets, just to defeat the prophets, he was isolated, and that's what God did to me. He isolated me, and he really worked on my heart and transformed me, and that's why people can't change. I'm like, oh yeah, they can, not on their own, but God can change.
Right. Woo! You know, I gotta clap for this.
And so it was from that the producer, Adrian Gervitz, reached out to me again and was like, it was almost a year later. He said, are you signed yet? I still want to work with you. I'm like, who is this? And he's like, Adrian. I had just thought about him and prayed about it the day before. And I just remember this is a year ago. Well, maybe that bridge is burned. And He says, well, God, if you want me to do this, you know, show me something. Show me. I don't know what to do. The next day, I get a text from him. It was so crazy. And that's when I knew. I said, oh, okay.
This is God.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, that is so amazing. You know, it just reminds us that, yes, that what is for you is for you. And the enemy can try to come, steal, kill, and destroy it. Like, you know, especially in this industry, people aren't being honest and, you know, they're just shady. And, you know, how you literally just stayed the course. You know, God always.
Well, I was like, nudge you back on, and I'm like, oh.
Wow, that is so beautiful. And then, so how did you become, like, I know there was where Apple reached out to you.
Yeah.
Right? That is like commercial.
So it was Apple and Beats merged, which was just an incredible thing. And it was so funny because, well, I'll tell the backstory, which I've told you before, but it was, so Apple and Beats merged, and they wanted me to do a song. So for their new platform, they were like, oh, we want her to sing, you know, Patty Smythe, People Have the Power. Mm-hmm. They're like, we want you to do that for the sort of like the theme song. Basically, it's a commercial. I mean, it's a sync. You know what I mean? I'd be singing the cover for the commercial for the sync.
Yeah.
It was so crazy because I was like, this is an amazing opportunity. Oh my gosh. My manager was like, this is great. This is great. Everyone was like, oh my God, it's amazing. And then I felt that tug from the Holy Spirit that was like, oh,
right.
Talk to me first. I was like, I don't want to talk to you. You're going to tell me.
I know, girl. Woo.
So I prayed about it, and God was like, no. You know what I mean? I was like, whoa, so crazy. It was like through scripture, through even the lyrics in the song. Not that the song was particularly bad, but God had a different plan. And so I was praying and seeking in the word, listening to the song over and over again. Like, I even went to the point where I was like, I recorded it. You know what I mean? I was like, well, you know. But God was like, nope. I was like, oh my goodness. And it was crazy because it was such a challenge because everyone was so angry with me. You know what I mean? They were like, we don't understand. Even my manager was like, we don't understand. We don't get it. You know? And it was to the point where people were like, well, she's going to make poor decisions like this for her career. Then we don't think we want to work with her. Like, it was really crazy, you know? And even to the point where they're like, well, if it's because of your faith, well, then maybe you should look at this different perspective and blah, blah, blah. And it was funny because that weekend when I was like, it was weighing on me so heavy, you know, maybe you should look at this different philosophy, this different perspective, blah, blah, blah. I go to church that day and the pastor says in his sermon, he's like, you know, the enemy will look at you. Because what they kept saying is like, these are the gatekeepers. These are the gatekeepers. They can open the gates to everything. And you should look at this different perspective. And then in church, it talks about the part where the enemy brings Christ up to the mountain and says, all of this can be yours. You know what I mean? If you just worship me, serve me. And the pastor says this exact word. He said, the world will give you its alternate philosophy and perspective. And I was like, dang. I was like, I thought I had it in the bag. It was like, no, you know, it was a no. And it was funny because even my brother, who's awesome in the Lord, called my manager to just encourage him. Listen, like, you don't understand, but this journey isn't just for her, it's for you too, you know.
Oh, come on.
We told them no, and it turns out, Jimmy Iovine at the time got wind of the song Rise Up, my song. And so everyone's stressing, but the head of my label was like, oh, I just did this as an in for Rise Up. So Jimmy Iovine ends up hearing Rise Up, and he fell in love with it. It started top down. Tim Cook, the head of Apple, Jimmy Iovine, the head of Beats, all of them heard Rise Up and were like, this has to be the song. This has to be our theme song. So because we said no, and because we were faithful, it ended up turning out into a bigger opportunity. They were like, we want to put you on the biggest billboard in Times Square. We want to do some activation with VMAs, with Fashion Week. We want to put you in commercials and use the music in certain spots and all of this stuff. We actually they brought us in to sit and have a meeting and tell us about all the things they wanted to do with the song and with me as an artist and the album. And so the opportunity ended up being a million times bigger than what it would have been had we just done the same. And on top of that, people, my manager, the people at the label experienced the faithfulness of the Lord. And that was what it was like. They were like, okay, I started praying again because of this, or I started.
Come on.
That's how the relationship started. And when the holidays came around and they thought about doing the Christmas commercial, they were like, they said the only name they were like was Andra. We have to have Andra. She has to do it. And they didn't even know about the connection Stevie and I had from years ago when he discovered me.
Wow.
And so the relationship started with just faithfulness, with listening to the Lord, but him also being faithful, being like, trust me, it will be bigger if you just believe me, and like, and that's really how the whole Apple and Beats relationship started. Now they're amazing. Like, I'm always using their products. They're sending me stuff all the time. And we're just, my whole band has just become like blessed by it. Everybody with new computers and headphones, and we're able to create more music, and it has helped to open us up creatively. It's really been, they have been, I don't even know. I feel like if you can call a company a godparent, then Beats and Apple have been like that.
Awesome. That is so beautiful. Wow, that's awesome. And so that is so beautiful. God is so faithful just to use you as a testimony to show that, just how powerful obedience is. And
it's scary to know, though.
It's scary. Oh, you're like, God, really? Like, I need another, right. I need another confirmation, right?
Can I just get another one, maybe like a little stamp?
How clear do I need to be? And
yeah, exactly.
It's just like, wow. So the courage you had, it really takes courage to be obedient.
It really does. And it's not always, it's not always like, oh, once you do it, you have a hold of it. There's times where I'm like, oh, I should have listened to the Lord. I didn't hear, and it's
totally.
But he's so faithful and he's so patient. And that's like what I've learned the most from this process.
That's so awesome. And his grace. So beautiful. And, I know how, this is Simply Sisterhood, and, your sisters, like the women in your life that are on center stage with you, who do life with you, tell me, what is important about sisterhood for you?
I think for me, what's important about sisterhood is that we're all connected, right? We're all one body, which means we're all interdependent on each other.
Yeah.
One doesn't function better than the other, and one piece doesn't function without the other.
That's so good.
With sisters, uniquely, we are also wired, similar. We're all different, we're all unique, and those are to be celebrated. But we're also wired very similarly. I think, especially with when it comes to intuition, I truly believe that was a gift and a special connection that God gave to us. You know what I mean? And,
yes.
And I think sisterhood is so important because of that connection and because of God, he crowned us with his beauty, you know what I mean? And so because of that, we are attacked by the enemy so frequently. We're constantly trying to be oppressed and held down, and then tear each other apart, turn against each other. And I feel like we reflect his beauty,
Yeah.
And that's why I feel like we are constantly attacked. And so we need to do the opposite of what those attacks want us to do, which is to come together and to support each other. Because if we're beautiful and reflecting his beauty as an individual, imagine when we are all together what we look like, and the power and the love of the Lord that's in us. So
wow.
For me, that's why it's so important, because we are, if you look throughout history, we are constantly attacked. You know what I mean? And constantly trying to be torn down, and so, and the most successful way that that's been done is by turning us against each other, where we think we're in competition.
Come on.
Oh no, like you don't even understand how amazing I made you as one. So for me, that's why sisterhood is so important. That's why the sisters I have here with me now, Crystal and Kira, are so important, and my mom, you know what I mean? Even our parents, they're our sisters, they're our, and so these are just women in my life that they all have their unique characteristics, but they all have the love of God, and that's what we rally around.
That is so beautiful. That is so awesome. When you have, so being even a celebrity, have you had to, yes. I know you're like, yes. Have you had to really discern and learn discernment on, really trusting women, like us, you have to create a circle, a safe circle, and allowing women to enter that circle. Like, did you always know that? I mean, of course, we've gone through ups and downs in our relationships, but, you really have some amazing women that are really close to you.
Yeah.
And how did you get that? How did you get there?
You know what? It's funny. I feel like God works that out, right? Like you don't have to go seek it out. I gotta find him.
Yeah.
If you're a genuine person, and you let the love of Christ shine in you and through you.
Yeah.
That comes from being authentic, and it's about your shortcomings, about all of your weaknesses.
So good.
But then it'll begin to be created around you. You know what I mean? I don't say this now, Kira and Crystal, it's not like we intentionally were going to look for each other. But it's just something about the Spirit of the Lord in each of them that drew us near. And then I realized also some people are for a lifetime and some are for a season. You know what I mean? And I will say that as well. I'm not good at season closers because I don't like the confrontation, and I know. But I always linger with the season closer when it was supposed to close months ago, and I just let it go on, and then it becomes confrontational. That's my problem. So because I don't know, I just like, I'm good with season openers. I was like, yeah, come in. But when it's like, to move on, I'm not good at that part. And that God's working on me.
Right. None of us are good at that. Exactly.
Yeah. But some people are for a season and some people are for life, and none is better than the other. It's all about sort of that journey. And so I think for me too, having people around that reflect that love and that openness and that mercy and that compassion that God has, when you're like that with people and you're vulnerable, it causes them to open up. You know what I mean? And for me, it really does. And for me, it's so to not, and it causes them, when you're accountable, it causes people to be accountable around you as well too. Hey, I want to do better and I want it. So for me, the not accountability is something that's a little more challenging for me to deal with. It's like figuring out, okay, still have to show mercy, show grace. But at the same time, also understanding that some people are just not for a lifetime, and that's okay. You know what I mean? And if you're trying to hold on, you're actually damaging them and their journey as well.
Oh my gosh, that is so good, sister. Yes, where that whole piece about being 100% authentic is critical to really developing sisters like like you and Kira and Andra, and you and Kira and Crystal, like I have sisters in my life like that as well, and it really is because we are 100% authentic with each other. And that's what Simply Sisterhood is about, is really creating a platform for women to feel safe, to feel authentic, to celebrate themselves, because we're not taught to do that. We're not taught.
Oh God, we're taught to tear each other down. Goodness.
Yes, we are not each other's competition. We don't need to be threatened by each other. We are each other's connection, and we're each other's sister. And it's just so beautiful the way you live your life on stage.
Very hairy leg right now. That was nice. Good for you.
See, authenticity all day.
Authenticity all day.
All day long. Exactly.
Why would you do that? I haven't shaved in like forever. That's not the hairy one. Remember,
who's that? Kira?
Crystal. This is the hairy one.
That is so funny. That you guys, and literally, you guys are just superstars, and I just so appreciate you. Hi, Key. It's so fun and you have the best band, and
Amazing.
I'm
It's
telling
funny
you.
because I feel like my band are my sisters too. They don't really like
Yes.
that.
Yeah, they're like, wait.
I feel like they're also my sisters, right?
They so are
They're
just awesome. Just,
they're
just
awesome.
it's such a privilege and a blessing to meet people who are genuinely just sincerely amazing. And, their gifts are just all over the place, but there's not this arrogance. There's not this, conceited, just, that thing that you're like, yuck.
What I love about this group, and we had spoke about, we'll sit down and we just talk about how much we enjoy each other's company and like how blessed we are to have each other. But I think one of the things that I love about this group, like I said, is accountability. You know what I mean? Like on everyone's part, it's where people are not afraid. It's not sort of like, oh, I'm the victim and everyone's always doing me wrong. Like,
Yes.
they're honest about things that they're experiencing or that bother them. But at the same time, when they're like, you know what, I'm cutting up. Sorry, my bad. Like, they're so quick to be accountable for themselves. And I think that's what makes things work so well, and it inspires me too. Even me as, the singer and it's the project or whatever. Like, I've been late like every night for the shows. And these poor guys, it's killing them.
Oh no.
Okay, I'm trying to I sent them a text message being like, I'm so sorry. I know it's stressing you guys out. Like, I'm going to really, really try to buckle down and make sure I'm on time and do this. You know what I mean? And so, but it's on everyone. You know what I mean? It's everyone does that and operates that way. It's like, hey, I need to make sure I'm accountable for myself and for my actions. And it's really, I think that's what helps it, like I said, to function well.
Yeah, that's so wonderful. I know you were getting ready for sound check, but I wanted to, a couple of things, just tell our viewers about going to andraday.com for them to find out if they can get tickets on the rest of your tour. You guys have a few more weeks to get in to see her. It is a priority. You need to, if you love music, if you love authenticity and authentic music and an amazing experience, you need to go see the Andra Day concert and her amazing band and her sisters who are up there just supporting her is beautiful.
Left and right. No good.
They're amazing. And then also to just support, Simply Sisterhood is about supporting one another, to go out, to go to iTunes, go ahead and get Cheers to the Fall. And, every single song is amazing. There's a message to it that really is inspiring and encouraging. So you are right there in the line with your gifts, girl. It really is. And I mean, I have
doing this. I love Simply Sisterhood.
Thank you, sister. I just thank you so much. Yes. And before we go, I want to wish you an early happy birthday.
Oh, God.
Your birthday. I was like, wow, I never knew that you were a day after my sister. That's awesome.
I know. That's so crazy. Oh, my goodness. What are we doing for our birthday, by the way? Party. Oh, get it. Oh, that's it.
I know, right? And so those of you who are, again, I'd love to invite you to become a part of Simply Sisterhood, to join our sisterhood. You can go to bit.ly/building sisterhood, and you can become a part of our Simply Sisterhood community. Just learn about the amazing women that really God just brings into my life, and that I really get to celebrate them and their sparkle. But Andra, I just want to
you and your sparkle.
Thank you, sister. I just want to thank you again so much for your time. Where are you guys now? Are you in?
You're in Boston.
Boston already. Okay, that's awesome.
Jazz. Just kidding. That was terrible. That was a terrible accent. That was awful. Okay.
I know. I love you. Thank you so much for being here on Simply Sisterhood. Yes, amen. I love you. These are my claps for you guys. Is that Charles back there?
Yeah.
Hi, Charles. I saw Shay too. Give him hugs and kisses from me. Hi, Crystal. Love you guys.
Love you.
Hi, Keith. Have a wonderful show.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much.
Thanks for doing this.
Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.
Bye.